Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya, Acharya.
Om Sadashiva Samarabham Shankaracharya
Madhyamam
Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahavi Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu
Om
Shanti
Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Okay, so we have completed the 8th chapter, which was basically about Krama Mukti. Okay, it's worthwhile saying here that there is no other reference to Krama Mukti in the Bhagavad Gita. This is the only one is in that 8th chapter. So what does it indicate?
It's not important for us.
It is not a route which you should be taking because we are all supposed to be jnanis, right? And therefore the idea is that you should first get Chitta Shuddhi by doing Karma Yoga, then confine yourself to Saguna Ishvara Upasana and refine your Chitta Shuddhi, and then you should move to Nirguna Ishvara Jnana. That is to say, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. And the result of that is Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikya Jnanam, which we call moksha in this very life. And this knowledge has to be acquired through Vedanta Vichara only, Nirguna Ishvara Vichara only. And therefore, this now, Krishna is presenting Nirguna Jnanam over here, a very beautiful chapter, very similar to the 7th chapter where we talked about Ishvara. Again, here also Ishvara is being presented. So we will chant the first verse. So please unmute yourself. Atha navamodhyayah
Namaodhyayah
Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yogah Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam tute guhyatamam Pravakshyamyana Suyave Jnana Vijnana Sahitam Yajñātvā mokṣase shubham. So you remember it is mokṣase ashubhat. There is avagraha over there. So mokṣase ashubhat means free from ashubham. Otherwise you have become free from shubham, which is not what is intended. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Lord said, Sri Krishna said, tu, however, but. So but is to indicate that there is a different subject. So the subject here is Ishvara Jnanam. And the words we look at, te anusuyave. O Arjuna, you have anusuya. You are non-critical. You are non-critical person. You respect the Shastram, and therefore, idam jnanam pravakshyami. I shall talk to you about this jnanam. And what kind of jnanam? Jnanam plus vijnanam. Jnanam and vijnanam, both I will talk about. And this kind of jnanam is guhyatamam, uttama guhyam, the topmost secret. And what is the advantage? Jyatva. Having understood that jnanam, ashubhat mokshase. Ashubham here means samsara. Samsara is most ashubhaha, most inauspicious. Therefore, ashubhat mokshase, you will be freed from inauspiciousness, which is samsara. So, mokshase ashubhat, you will be freed from samsara. So, the topic in this chapter is Ishvara Jnanam, and we have seen this in the 7th chapter also. And we saw in the 7th chapter that Ishvara had higher nature and lower nature, para prakriti and apara prakriti. So apara prakriti talks about, when you say apara prakriti, you mean the name and form, saguna swarupam, the form of the Ishvara with the Lord. And wherever there is form, it is subject to change. Whatever is subject to change will come under apara only, because apara is what? That which is subject to change. Para is beyond time and space, not subject to change. And that is the higher nature of the Lord. Para prakriti is called Chaitanya Swarupam. So the attributeless, changeless, non-divisible consciousness is para prakriti. And here Krishna uses two words, jnanam and vijnanam. So jnanam is knowledge and vijnanam is vishesha jnanam, special knowledge. And therefore, if you have to understand these two words, in this context only, remember, jnanam normally means atma jnanam, but in the context of this, these verses, since Krishna is using both the words, and we have to talk about the para prakriti and the apara prakriti of chapter 7, jnanam is knowledge of the saguna nature of the Lord. So jnanam of apara prakriti is called jnanam over here. Jnanam of para prakriti, the higher nature of Ishvara, is called vijnanam. So this nomenclature should be very carefully understood. Jnanam means saguna Ishvara jnanam, and saguna Ishvara jnanam, remember, is dvaita jnanam. And vijnanam is nirguna Ishvara jnanam, advaita jnanam. Okay. And then the first word is idam. So idam is a pronoun. And what should a pronoun indicate? When you use a pronoun, what does it point towards to?
To something which has already been mentioned.
To a noun, right? So normally you can use a pronoun only after a noun has been introduced. But here there is no noun introduced. He simply says idam. What does it mean? So Shankara in his commentary says idam means that we are talking about a subject which has already been talked about. And that subject is Brahma Jnanam, Atma Jnanam. And we have talked about it not once, but several times, where chapter 2, chapter 4, chapter 5, and chapter 7. Okay. So that Atma Jnanam, which is being talked about already, that is going to be talked about here. And the next one is tu. Tu is but. Okay. So I am going to talk about Atma Jnanam, but what? This Brahma Jnanam, that but is a differentiator. So he's saying this but is different from the Brahma Jnanam which we talked about in chapter 8. So that two is to differentiate Brahma Jnanam talked about in chapter 9 from the Brahma Jnanam talked about in chapter 8. Chapter 8, remember, is Saguna Brahma Jnanam, right? So here we are talking about Nirguna Brahma Jnanam. And this is going to be talked about. And then Shankara adds over here, idameva samajnanam, samyajnanam. Samyajnanam means correct jnanam, right? So this alone, the chapter 9 jnanam alone is samyajnanam, is the correct jnanam. Why? Because it will give you moksha. The chapter 8 jnanam, indirectly it will give you moksha. You have to go to Brahma Loka, all those things. But here it will directly give you in this very life. So he says, Shakshat moksha prapti sadhanam. This Brahma Jnanam is. And he quotes a few examples. There are, of course, he quotes Shruti also, which we have not done, but he says, he quotes Vasudeva Sarvamiti. That is, where did you find that? Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Don't remember? Guys. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Where do you find that? Nobody. Come on, come on. You can't afford to forget the 7th chapter just because you reach to 9th chapter. Anyway, it's in the 7th chapter, okay? So Vasudeva is Sarvamiti. That Lord is everything. And then, of course, he quotes from the Chandogya Upanishad, Atmai Vedam Sarvam. That is, Atma is everything. Sarvam means what? Everything. So there is only one Atma. Sarvamiti. There is only one Atma. And if there is only one Atma, then there can be no differences. Right? That is why no other gunas are there. Therefore, Nirguna Brahman. So Nirguna Brahman alone will give moksha. And knowledge of Nirguna Brahman alone is correct knowledge. This is what Shankara says. And therefore, 8th chapter, Brahma Jnanam is a upasana. It is inferior because it can only take you up to Brahmaloka. And therefore, this Jnanam I am going to explain. Aham pravakshyami, he says. Vijnana Sahita Jnanam, Aham pravakshyami, says Krishna. Pravakshyami consists of two words, pra plus vakshyami. Vakshyami is I will explain, right? I am going to explain to you both these. And the pra indicates prakarshena, thoroughly, completely I will explain so that you understand thoroughly, that you have no more doubts. Now, in his commentary, Shankara says, adds one very nice word, which is of course capable of a lot of misinterpretations. So Shankara takes the word Vijnana Sahitam, which is the second word of the first line, of the second line. And he says, Vijnana Sahitam is equal to Anubhava Yuktam, accompanied by Anubhava. So the special knowledge, he says, Vishesha Jnanam, is to be understood as Jnanam accompanied by experience. And here is where we need to understand very, very carefully, because the experience of any Vishaya, any object, how does it come? It is born out of my contact with that object, right? So I have glass experience. It comes because my sense organs contact the glass, eyes contact the glass, hand touches the glass. So it's born out of contact with object. So that is external object. What about things like raga, dvesha, kama? How are they born? For that matter, even physical pain.
Contact with the mind.
Contact with the mind. So one is external contact, one is internal contact. But because of the use of the word contact, there is an experiencer and there is an experienced. And therefore, in both cases, the experienced object is there, right? In one case, it is your sense organs contacting an external object. In the internal case, it is the mind contacting an abstract internal object. They are objects, all right. And therefore, for all these things, you can say Anubhava Yuktam, accompanied by Anubhava, right? The experience of pain is the knowledge of pain accompanied by the experience. But what about Brahman? Brahman experience is never possible because Brahman is not an object of experience, right? We saw that before. Aprameyam. It cannot be an object of knowledge. It cannot be an object of experience. And remember, this is the reason there are a lot of textbooks, there are a lot of teachers who talk about the fact that first you get, of course, there are teachers who talk about two things. One is that you get the knowledge first and then you get experience of Brahman. Others say that there is no knowledge necessary. You can directly experience Brahman in meditation. There are 2 or 3 ways of that teachers talk about Brahman, right? So Brahman Anubhava, people talk about. And the teachers who talk about Brahman Anubhava, if you ask them to explain that Anubhava, that experience, you will find that they can never explain the experience. There is no logical way of explaining an experience of an object with which experience is not possible. And therefore, if you press the subject and say, no, but you are saying that I will get the experience in meditation. Can you explain to me how is this experience? What is the experience? What is the answer that such a teacher will give?
Brahman is not an experience.
No, I'm talking about a teacher who is saying that you can experience Brahman in meditation. Or a teacher who says that first to learn about Brahman and then experience. There are such teachers, there are such texts also. When you question that teacher and say, please explain to me what is this experience? What is the only answer they can give you?
It is beyond words.
Okay.
They have to do the meditation and experience that.
Yes. They say you do meditation and do experience. They say you cannot explain. It is mystic. Right? Such people are called mystics. And why is it the very safe thing to say? When you cannot, logically explain a concept, the best thing to say is you can only experience it. It cannot be explained. So take the safe route, go into the mysticism field, because in the mysticism field, there is no room for logic, right? So these people tell you that nobody can explain Brahman. You have to experience that Brahman. That is the only Brahman experience. A lot of people who talk about Samadhi, they talk about this. What is the problem with all this?
Then Brahman will be experienced at one moment and will not be there at another
Moment,
So,
right? Then who are you
yes.
anyway, is the question. But if you say, for example, like we say, that Brahman is the subject of every experience, right? There is an Upanishad which says Pratibodha Viditam Matam, that every experience that you have, every thought that you have, everything is experience of Brahman only. Every experience is Brahman experience. When you say that, then what does Shankara mean by the word Anubhava Yuktaha? Accompanied by experience, he says. So therefore, you have to explain that when Shankara says Anubhava, he is talking about aparoksha jnanam. And when Shankara says without Anubhava jnanam, he is talking about paroksha jnanam. So there are two things that we're talking about. One is paroksha jnanam, knowledge of Brahman, and one is aparoksha jnanam, which is Shankara defines it as knowledge of Brahman with experience. But in our words, what is paroksha jnanam? What is aparoksha jnanam? Can you give an example using Brahman itself?
When I know that I am that Brahman, that's a paroksha jnanam.
And what about
You
paroksha?
use Sagun Bhakti, then you Parokshna.
Yeah, so let's put it in other words. When I say Brahman exists, it is paroksha jnanam. When I say I am Brahman, it is aparoksha jnanam. This is meaning, right? And this is what Shankara is trying to convey by saying Anubhava Yuktaha. He says Anubhava Yuktaha means that you have the knowledge. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman, you have the knowledge. That particular idea he is calling aparoksha jnanam. So remember that Anubhava, the term used by him, is nothing but a intellectual cognition in which you claim that you are Brahman. Aham Brahma Asmi is Jnanam Anubhava Yukta. Okay, that is aparoksha jnanam, which he calls Vijnanam over here. Other than the understanding that I am Brahman, there is no other experience of Brahman available. Right? When you don't have any doubt that you are Brahman, that alone is called Anubhava. And here Krishna says, Guhyatamam. It is the Uttama Guhyam, the rarest of all knowledge, the most secret of all knowledge, because you require great maturity to understand. Which is why, at least in today's world, you can give the teaching openly, right? But only the Adhikari, Sadhana Chatushtaya, Sampanna Adhikari will come regularly to class. You will find that in this very group, in this particular group itself, does anybody remember how many people were there when we started the group? How many students were there?
Over 100.
More than 100. Now it's less than 50. Okay. And this less than 50 has been consistent for more than 2 to 3 years. So that is why you find the teaching can be given openly, but only those who are sadhana chatushtaya sampanna, the adhikari, he will consistently come to class. Others will find more attractive, things to do on Sunday mornings. That's one reason why it is called Uttama Guhyam, highest of all secrets. Another secret is because it is Indriya Agocharam. It is beyond your perception of the Indriyas. So even the perception itself, when we call Indriya Gocharam, perception of Indriyas also, there are two types of perceptions. One is Indriya Pratyakshaha, known through the sense organs. Like I know the glass, right? What is the other one? It is called Sakshi Pratyakshaha. You are knowing something without the intervention of your sense organs. Can you give an example? So there are two types. One is knowing something, that is Indriya Pratyaksha, through the sense organs. Another is Sakshi Pratyaksha, knowing something without the intervention of your sense organs. What is an example of Sakshi Pratyaksha?
Nirguna Brahman. You know that you are Brahman.
Something more, down to earth.
Acharya, thoughts?
The sunrise, because normally it's said that the sun rises, but we know that it's always there.
No. What about the fact that you are upset?
So it's more on the thought level?
Emotions.
Anything, any condition of your mind, upset, not upset, happy, sukha, dukkha, do you have any sense organs which intervene?
The mind is upset.
How do you know?
You feel it.
That's what exactly I said. There is no intervention of any indriyas. No, none of the five sense organs will reveal to you that mind is upset. Therefore, you are knowing it directly without the intervention of a sense organ. That is called Sakshi Pratyaksha. Right? Now, can Brahman be known by either of these methods? Indriya Pratyaksha, obviously Brahman cannot be known. Can Sakshi Pratyaksha be known? Brahman be known through Sakshi Pratyaksha, directly to the mind?
No.
You have to explain why. It's a very important idea.
Because then we are again trying to objectify it by the finite mind. It becomes an object of a mind.
It becomes the object of the mind, right? And whatever is the object of the mind or the indriyas does not need any other pramanam. That is why the indriyas are called pramanam itself. Because when you know a glass, your eyes are the pramanam. When you hear a sound, your ears are the pramanam, right? And when you know that you are unhappy, your mind is the pramanam. In all these cases, there is external pramanam. But you cannot know Brahman through either of these pramanams, which is why you got Shastram as a praman. Does it make sense?
Yes, and Acharya,
Understand?
even in
Yeah.
sorry,
Go ahead.
and in Sakshi Pratyaksha, all these emotions will come and go, while Brahman is not something which is temporary, which will come and go. Or can we say that? Is that also a reason why it cannot be Sakshi Pratyaksha?
Sakshi Pratyaksha is very simply there is a pramanam and there is a prameyam. Indriya
Right.
Pratyaksha, there is a pramanam, there is a prameyam. In
Yes.
Brahman knowledge, there is a pramanam, of course, Shastram.
Yeah.
What is a prameyam?
That is nice.
Anybody?
myself, it's about me.
What is me?
Mhm.
I am.
Where is
Brahman.
Brahman?
I am.
Correct. You are Brahman. So that is the problem. That pramanam, Shastra pramanam tells you that you are Brahman. Any other pramanam reveals something else to you. And therefore only Shastra pramanam can give you Brahman. And therefore Krishna says, Yat gyatva ashubhat mokshase. There is a very tangible benefit after gaining this knowledge. What is that? You are free from amangalam. Ashubham means amangalam, in inauspiciousness, which means samsara only. You will be released from samsara. And what is samsara? All sort of mental problems. Raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. Whatever is negative, whatever is upsetting the mind, all that is samsara. Okay. And here, of course, remember that this chapter starts without a Arjuna Uvacha. And that is why Krishna says that I am giving you the information because why? Because anasuya way. You have a non-critical approach. Asuya means looking to find, you read something only with a objective of finding mistakes, or you listen only with the objective of criticizing. That is called asuya. A mind exclusively, focused on finding faults. So this is asuya. And if you have asuya, who will be the loser? You will be the loser, because Shastra doesn't lose anything. And therefore, I might think, if my correct attitude is that if I have not understood something, I don't dismiss it by saying, no, it is nonsense. I have to say that maybe the understanding is not correct. You do not say that scriptures are defective or scriptures are not clear. You question your understanding. You don't question the teaching itself. So that is called anasuya, also called shraddha. So in the 4th chapter, if you remember, Krishna said, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Only if you have got that attitude, you will get the knowledge. And there is the definition of asuya is what? Paraguneshu dosha avishkaranam. Looking for doshaha in gunas. Right? Where you look at something wherever there is good, but what are you looking for? You're looking only for mistakes. Who does that? There is a particular profession which does that, right? They are paid for that. Who does that?
Editing, editors.
Proofreaders.
Auditors.
Proofreaders,
Critic.
auditors.
Editors.
Okay. So Krishna is saying, don't be editor, don't be a proofreader, don't be an auditor. So guneshu dosha darshanam. It's a very bad quality in a human being when it comes to study of scripture, right? And if you remember Mahabharata, there was one person who had a lot of asuya. Who was he?
Mama Shakuni. Mama Shakuni.
Well,
Duryodhana.
there was another person.
Duryodhana.
Dhritarashtra.
Karna. Karan was, he had a lot of good qualities. But what did he think? That he was the son of a charioteer. And therefore he had an inferiority complex, which manifested as asuya. Karan was also there. You can also say Duryodhana was there. A lot of people there. Karan is an outstanding example. Okay, now we look at verse number 2. We will chant.
Acharya, sorry, can I ask you a question here?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Acharya, if somebody is officially in a role of auditing, is there a problem?
You are not auditing the scriptures. No, there's no problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm talking about
Because the
the
job
attitude
is to
as far
look
as
for
scriptural
something.
study is concerned.
Okay. Thank you
Okay, I
so much.
know that you are in a role of auditor right now, but not to worry. Okay.
Acharya, can I
Yeah.
ask one more question?
Yeah.
I have a question about use of the term aparoksha jnanam.
Yeah.
Do we use it only for the ultimate realization of knowing I am Brahman,
Aparoksha Jnanam is used only for the knowledge that I am Brahman.
Because what about some intermediary, I don't know, first of all, if we would, I mean,
Give an
we would
example.
talk about these immediate intermediary stages where one could have the realization that I'm not this body, and knowing that I'm consciousness which survives this body. Because there is a leap which I'm not sure if we've not really come across that yet, but I don't know if maybe if we won't come across something like that. So kindly correct my understanding. Could there be an intermediary understanding of I'm not this body, I'm the consciousness which survives the body, but not yet being able to identify that I am this
So Aparoksha Jnanam
consciousness?
is given, the knowledge is given, I mean the understanding that you are Brahman. That is Aparoksha Jnanam. Intermediate stage you can have. For example, while you study, you will start with all this, right? First, what is this process of study? You first study Anatma, then you study Atma, then you see the differences. Then you say, okay, fine, I'm not the body. I'm not the 5 sheets, the Taittiriya Upanishads, what you call Panchakosha Viveka. All are stages. But the word Aparoksha Jnanam you use when you know that I am Brahman. Aparoksha means basically direct. Paroksha is in front of you. Aparoksha is not in front of you. So there is no Brahman in front of you because you are Brahman. That is why Aparoksha.
Thank you.
Like you always say, when you become the lime pickle.
When you?
The lime pickle.
Yes. When you are sitting in the pickle and are soaked and soaked and soaked, then you are a Aparoksha pickle. Right?
Yeah, but Acharya, what exactly even Spandanaji was asking is that we are not totally soaked. So we are some way
So you
in
don't
the
have Aparoksha Jnanam at
beginning or
all.
between. Yeah. So we are, so I think she's asking, is that also, can also that be said as Aparoksha Jnana?
No, it cannot be said.
No, it is only
You need full
aparoksha jnana.
soaking.
Let me tell you one thing, this, as long as you have any doubt that you are
Yes.
Brahman, it is not Aparoksha Jnana. And
Yes.
who can tell you whether you are Brahman?
Only you yourself.
Only you yourself can say that, yes, I am Brahman.
Yes.
Once the knowledge is there, I am Brahman, your journey is over.
Right.
The knowledge that I am Brahman, the undisputable knowledge that I am Brahman, unshakable knowledge that I am Brahman, that is Aparoksha Jnana. Like today you say,
Yes,
I am
Acharya.
Indra, or I am Hindu. Fine. I am Meera, I am Vinita. All this you know. How Aparokshataya. You are definitely convinced.
Acharya, I remember you telling us once, and it's very relatable, that 22 hours a day we are dealing with an Atma.
Yes.
And everything which is going on in the Vyavaharika is mainly reminding us of what we have been doing before. So consistently rewinding the mind and now realizing who I am truly. I think, yes, that's what Vandana and me, we can relate in this, that yes, we know we are not the body, but yes, knowing I myself as Brahman totally, still there
I
a
think
lot of
that's,
contemplation.
you are being a bit, what they call, unnecessarily what they call, trying to present yourself
Proofreading.
as you are either know you are this or that. You are either Brahman or you are human being. You can't have an intermediate stage. Yes, in the journey, you know that I am not the body. So you are moving. But it's not that you don't know, you may not be convinced you are Brahman, but you definitely know you are Brahman, right?
Ji.
Acharya, you once told us even about this, about we are in Paramarthika, but Vyavaharika keeps us grounded to some extent in a day or
The
whatever.
very fact that
So
you
the
can
more,
say I am Brahman, Aparoksha Jnanam,
yes,
etc., it is possible only in Vyavaharika.
yeah,
So again and again I repeat, don't ever look down upon Vyavaharika as an inferior state. Vyavaharika is the only state where you get a glimpse of Paramarthika. In fact, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya is fine. But after dismissing Mithya, Jagat as Mithya, when you dismiss Jagat as Mithya, what are you doing? You are saying this is not me. And therefore there is me, Brahman, and there is Jagat, not me. And therefore you got duality. Do you understand?
Jivo
Brahma
Brahma
Satyam
Iva
Jagan
Naparada.
Mithya, that third statement is extremely important.
Yes.
And that third statement can come around only when you accept that Mithya Jagat is resident in you. You cannot dismiss Maya. You can only accept that Maya is part of me. Not me, because dependent upon me, but part of me.
Yeah.
Only when that acceptance is complete, then only you got aparoksha jnana.
So how do you explain that Jagat is part of me?
So how do you explain?
Yeah.
It depends on what is you mean by me.
Brahman.
Where,
If I see. So
where is Maya located?
in
Remember, there
Brahman.
is no such thing as pure Brahman.
Mm.
Nirguna Brahman includes Saguna aspect. Saguna is Mithya, no doubt. But Nirguna Brahman includes Saguna Ishvara. You don't have a Nirguna Brahman without Saguna Ishvara. There is no destruction of Maya ever. Both Nirguna Brahman and Saguna Brahman, both are Anadi. Both are Ananta. The only difference is that Saguna Brahman becomes Vyaktam Avyaktam. Nirguna Brahman remains Avyaktam.
Okay.
The idea is necessarily to be well assimilated, because a lot of us in our having what we call been motivated by Jagat is Mithya, we tend to downgrade Jagat. Don't downgrade Jagat.
Yes.
It is part of you only.
Yes.
Any questions? Okay, so we look at the next verse, verse number 2. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. Okay, so just look at the words first. Idam means this knowledge. Raja Vidya, it is the king of all Vidyas, the greatest Vidya. It is a Raja Guhyam, it is the greatest secret. And it is Uttamam Pavitram, it is the greatest purifier. And Pratyaksha Avagamam. Pratyaksha Avagamam, it is directly gained, directly understood. Not only that, Dharmyam, it is in keeping with Dharma. And Avyayam, it is imperishable. And the best thing is Susukham Kartum. It is very easy to gain, very easy to understand, very easy to acquire. Okay. So Raja Vidya. What is Raja Vidya? Raja Vidya, Shankara says, Vidyanam Rajaha. Among all the Vidyas, it is the greatest Vidya. Right? So he is saying that the same Vidya, which was called Jnanam earlier, it is called Vishesha Jnanam over here. There should be no confusion. It's only a different name. Ishvara Jnanam is the royal knowledge, the greatest knowledge among all the various streams of knowledge available. Okay, so one should not have any doubt that the best knowledge, the most superior knowledge is always Atma Jnanam. Atma, and Shankara in his commentary says Atma is self-effulgent. It shines in a very extraordinary manner. Therefore, it surpasses all other forms of knowledge. And that is why it is called Rajavidya. This is the only knowledge which deals with Nirguna Swarupam, which is Satyam, which is the only reality. Whereas every other branch of knowledge you can think about deals only with creation. All the sciences, they deal with creation. Even the aspects of Vedanta which deals with creation, Maya, Mithya, Saguna Ishvara knowledge, that is also not Nirguna Jnanam, right? And so what does Vedanta do? Vedanta destroys, gets rid of your limitations at all levels. And those of you who have been studying Vedanta for a long time, maybe 2-3 years, would know that it has solved a lot of emotional problems also. A long-term Vedantic is usually more emotionally stable than a non-Vedantic. A non-Vedantic may need to go to a psychiatrist. The Vedantic doesn't go to a psychiatrist. He comes to Vedanta class instead. Problem is sorted out in Vedanta class, right? Not only that, emotional problems it solves your intellectual curiosity also. You saw in Tattvabodha, all the curious ideas which you need. Who is this? Who is the creator? Is there a creation? Is there a purpose in creation? All these ideas are sorted out by Vedanta. That is one aspect of it. And then Krishna says, Uttamam Pavitram. It is the purifier. Pavitram is a purifier. Uttamam is the greatest purifier. Why? Because most purifiers can remove only external impurities. But this purifier, it removes impurities in form of Sanchita karma and Agami karma. Raga, Dvesha, Kama, Krodha. It removes all of that. Not only that, it removes the fundamental root impurity called Ajnana. Right? And if you look at purifying agents, you can purify yourself by doing, of course, by snanam, by having a bath, that external purity. But you can do japa, you can do parayanam, you can do upasana. There are so many karmas which are meant for purification. But among the greatest, all these purifiers, the greatest is jnana. Why? Because other purifiers may act on part of your prarabdha, right? If you do japa, you do parayanam, the punyam generated can probably offset some prarabdha. But no other purifier can touch your sanchita karma. The sanchita papam can be destroyed only by jnanam. Therefore, jnanam removes sanchita papam. Not only that, jnanam removes punyam also. Other purifiers, japa, parayanam, rituals, upasana, they generate punyam. They don't remove punyam. But jnanam removes both punyam and papam, sanchita and agami also. And therefore we say that jnanam is the greatest purifier. Why do we say jnanam removes punyam? Because punyam is also considered a form of papam. Literally speaking, in Vedanta, anything which causes disturbance of the mind is called papam, right? But from that definition, punyam is also papam. Why? Because punyam gives disturbance when it goes away. When a punyam brings in a favorable situation, you are happy. But when that favorable situation goes away, the punyam is going away. It's exhausted. That also gives disturbance. Therefore, we say that punyam also gives disturbance. Therefore, both punyam and papam are caused by the fundamental problem called ajnanam. And jnanam removes that very source. What is the major advantage of this purifier? Once you use the jnanam purifier, the present impurities are of course addressed. But there is a insulation also. You will not acquire any future impurity also. It is a guarantee against acquiring any future impurities, because the karta is the one who acquires impurities, and jnanam destroys the very karta. Okay, so that is that. Then pratyaksha avagamam. It is available directly here and now. It is not like the promise of the 8th chapter that you will do upasana plus karma, then you will go to Brahma Loka, then and you might find Lord Brahmaji, and then he will teach you, and then you might get moksha, right? Those things you cannot verify. But pratyaksha avagamam, directly this benefit of Jivan Mukti can be experienced here and now in this very life itself. And that is why I asked, how will I know that I am a Jivan Mukta? Can your teacher tell you that yes, you are a Jivan Mukta?
No, only I.
Only you know it.
Only you
Only
can
I
tell yourself
myself.
that you are a Jivan Mukta. So don't go and ask anybody. No guru, no friend, no, of course, you can ask your husband and wife. They might tell you whether Jivan Mukta or not, huh? Depending on how you are behaving. But what is being said here is that ultimately only you can know. So whatever happens in the mind is Sakshi Pratyaksham. You alone can know whether you are convinced that you are Brahman. Right? Remember that Brahman is not Sakshi Pratyaksham. This is what we said earlier. Then why am I now saying that you will know? Brahman is not Sakshi Pratyaksham. But Brahma Jnanam, that is Sakshi Pratyaksham. The fact that you have the Brahma Jnanam thought, Aham Brahmasmi, convincingly in your mind, that is very much Sakshi Pratyaksham. Only you can know. It is a thought in the mind. And therefore it says Pratyaksha Avagamam, known by me. Right? And, okay, I can ask another question. Do I know that I am Brahman doubtlessly, or do I have a doubt? Who will decide?
Only I can
Again
decide.
yourself.
Yes.
You can decide, right? It's like going to the doctor, eye doctor, ophthalmologist. You might go to the best ophthalmologist in town. You know, he might have the greatest of all instruments. But ultimately, when he puts those alphabets on the board, who has to say whether you can see them or not? You have to.
Only you.
Brahma Jnanam is the same. Only you can decide whether you have Brahman knowledge, whether you think you are Brahman, whether you are doubtlessly Brahman or not, whether you think, only you can know. So whether you are in binary format or in triangular format, only I will know. Only I can know. So this is very, very important. Nobody can tell you whether you are a Jnani or a Jivan Mukta. You will find a lot of, people saying one Jivan Mukta can recognize another Jivan Mukta. All this is for glorification only. Only you can know whether you are Jivan Mukta or not. The next word is Dharmyam. It's in keeping with the Vedic tradition. That is very, very important, because Veda is the basic source of our knowledge. And therefore, whatever system of teaching we are doing, it has to be acceptable or in line with the Veda, in conformity with the Veda. Then only that teaching is acceptable in our tradition, right? You can call it Smriti, anything which is not Veda itself, but teaching from other point of view, not using the Vedic what they call mantras, you can call it Smriti. But remember, it has to be in keeping with the Vedic tradition. Otherwise, you will not survive in this country. You can, for example, take Buddhism. Buddhism is a Nastika Darshanam, which means it rejected Vedas. It's a very wonderful philosophy, but its basic fault is what? It rejected Vedas. And therefore, it could not survive in this country. I read somewhere, the number of Buddhists in the world are something like, 540 million or something, right? While in India, they are maybe 8 to 9 million. And Indian population is 1.4 billion. So in its very Janmasthanam, in its very birthplace, It could not survive because dharmyam, that condition is not met in accordance with the scriptures. Remember that Krishna is not claiming any originality for his teaching, but we have to accept the teaching not because Krishna is Avatara. We accept the teaching because of this very word, dharmyam. It is in accordance with the Vedic teaching. If the teaching is not in keeping with Shruti, Yukti and Anubhava, it cannot survive. Right? And coming from that, one more important corollary, that Atma Jnanam and Dharma, they go hand in hand. They cannot contradict each other. So, a Jnani can never be adharmika. Right? So, there are some people who say, the Jnani goes beyond Punyam and Papam. He is beyond Dharma and Adharma. Why should he bother about Dharma, Adharma? Ethical life, why should he bother about? That means that Brahma Jnanam, the word, has not been understood. Brahma Jnanam is not a license to do exactly what you want. Vedanta and Dharma are complementary. They cannot be thought of as exclusive. And therefore, there is no question of saying, I am a Vedantic, but I am not Dharmic. You can't choose one over the other. And Susukham Kartum, gaining this knowledge is comfortable. Sukham means very comfortable. You can get this Nirguna Ishvara Jnanam and Jivan Mukti much more easily than trying for Krama Mukti. Because in Krama Mukti, you have to do Upasana. At the time of your death, you have to sit in proper position, Padmasana. Now only I can't sit properly. What about time of death? Right? Then you have to sit. You have to make sure that you are sitting straight. You have to get all the prana up to your up to the head. Then you let it go. How will you ensure all that during the time of your death? Because during the time of your death, you have to first of all make sure that you're not sitting in the ICU, right? ICU means tubes all over, doctors hovering around, nurse hovering around. Where will you do your upasana? And therefore you can't do it. It's very, very difficult. You have seen in 8th chapter, right? You have to withdraw all the pranas and sense organs, bring it to the heart. Then you have to force it through the Sushumna Adi and then release it through the Brahmandram. All that is the way to go to Brahmaloka. And after going to Brahmaloka, you have to attend classes. And Brahmaji doesn't have Zoom over there, so you have to go personally to classes, right? And you might miss some class. Unlike what I do, he will not provide you recordings. So therefore, compared to Krama Mukti, Jivan Mukti is far easier. Niruguna Brahma Jnanam is Susukham, because you have to keep only your ears open and your mind focused. There is no other effort required excepting keeping the ears open and a mind focused. So sadhana chatushta sampatti requires effort, remember. But Jnanam does not require any effort. But the important point is, Jnanam is not will-based. Once your ears are open, it is not you who decide what falls into your ears. It is the teacher's words, the teacher who decides. And this knowledge is avyayam, imperishable in terms of its benefits, which means once you get the benefit of moksha, it is a permanent benefit. Unlike going to higher lokas where you will return. And Shankara says, therefore, in his commentary, he says, therefore, you should have Shraddha in Atmajnanam. And if you don't have Shraddha in Atmajnanam, what happens? You will see in the next verse, which we will take in the next class.
Acharya ji, I have a doubt. So, this Atmanyanam is not karma.
No, Atmajnanam is definitely not karma. No Jnanam. Yeah, go ahead.
And we also learned that there are 4 types of karma phalam, utpadya, vikarya, samskarya, and apya.
Yeah.
And so here this word pavitram, is it not used as samskarya in the meaning of samskarya as a purifier?
It purifier in the sense that it tells you what you are not. Right? So it's not used in that sense. Because if you say that Atmajnana is a purifier, then you're making that Jnanam into a karma.
Yes,
Atmajnana
I
is
was
not a
just,
karma at all.
I got confused because...
No Atmajnanam makes you Brahman. What does it do?
It just helps you understand that
Just tell
you
them
are
that
already
you are not,
Brahman.
your
Remove
knowledge
the-
that you are not Brahman is incorrect.
Yes, yes.
Nothing can ever make you Brahman. Because if Brahmanhood
You
comes
already
in
are.
time, whatever comes in time is destroyed by time. Therefore,
So
either you are Brahman now or you will never be Brahman.
you are Nitya Mukta, that I
You are
understand, but
Nitya Mukta. You are Brahman even now. Whether you know it or not, you are still Brahman. Whether you are Ajnani or not, you are still Brahman. Worthwhile meditating upon.
yes, thank you.
Sir, sir.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Brahma Gyanam being the Sakshi Gyanam. So is that a stage before Atma Jnana? Can we say that?
No. There are no stages here. Either you know you are Brahman or you are not. The knowledge that you are Brahman, that is called Atma Jnanam. That knowledge is Sakshi Pratyaksham. You know it. Only you can know it with your mind. Nobody else can know that you got Atma Jnanam in you. That is why it's Sakshi Pratyaksham.
Okay.
But remember, if you don't know whether you are Brahman or not, it doesn't take away from the fact that you are Brahman.
No.
You may not know it, but you are still Brahman.
And there is it's once you know it, and still you need more. You need to just keep sitting, meditating on it more.
No. Once you know it, you know it. That's it. That's why I keep saying it's a very important point. Either you are Brahman or you are not.
I know.
If you are Brahman, nothing more needs to be done. The meditation after Brahmanhood is not for making you a better Brahman. Okay? You don't refine your Brahmanhood. What do you do with meditation?
For the Nishtha.
Focus.
You are refining your mind.
Learn to focus.
We keep on saying, Brahmanishta, Jnananishta, but remember something, once you know without doubt that you are Brahman, the journey is over. Then any meditation you do is for refining your mind so that you can enjoy the benefits of Jnana. Nididhyasanam enables you to enjoy the benefits of Jnanam. You are not improving your Brahman status.
Sir, I was Brahman before I came to Vedanta.
Yes.
So it's not that it's something new that I have acquired after coming to
No,
Vedanta.
it's not. The only
I was
thing is
always
that now
Brahman.
that you know you are Brahman, you are starting to get some of the benefits of being Brahman.
Right.
That's the
Absolutely.
only difference.
Absolutely. The Raga Dvesha, it helps maximum. It helps you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Handle them.
Anything which you get after knowing a Brahman is the enjoyment of Jnana Phalam. For
Right.
Jnana Phalam, you can do meditation. For Jnanam, there is no meditation required. Jnanam is purely Shravanam Mananam. Nididhyasanam is for Jnana Phalam. Jnana Phalam Praptihi. To enjoy life as Brahman. That is what is the purpose of Nididhyasanam. Okay, so I'll leave you to meditate upon that.
Okay, thank you.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat
Purnamada
Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate Om
Om
Shanti
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 Shanti.
Om Tat Sat
Thank you,
Om Namah
Acharya.
Shivaya.
Thank
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.